Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with another hot take. This time it's about the political fallout of these riots and what's going to happen. Sorry I got so rambly in the previous one. There's just so much information I'm trying to impart and comment on. But I'll try to keep this one short. So Don Lemon of CNN today, or last night, he finally acknowledged there were riots, did not call them peaceful protests, and finally said something like, well, you know, these have to stop. They're hurting the Democratic Party, or they're hurting the poll numbers. They're affecting the polls. See, he's not worried about the people dying or the businesses being lost or the economic implications. None of that affects him. You know, he still will be rich and can, go into hotels and mess around with bartenders who aren't really interested. But, you know, the rest of us have to deal with the fallout from all the rioting, especially if you live in one of these major cities. Your life could be ruined. You could be ruined financially. You could be spending the next few years trying to collect money from the insurance company. I mean, there's a lot going on. But Don Lemon is concerned that the Democrats might lose. And when Don Lemon, probably one of the dumbest men on TV, is finally concerned about the riots and how it's impacting the Democrats, you know, he's probably the last guy in the room to get the joke or get anything. You know you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, Democrats. The writing's on the wall. The polls are now starting to shift into Trump's favor. And keep in mind, as I've always said, these polls are very much skewed in favor of the Democrats, because the people who take these polls and make these polls, they want the Democrats to win. The fact that the polls are now skewing towards Trump means one of two things. Either he's actually skewing much higher than they're letting on, and they're only shaving. They've decided they'll only shave so many points off because they still want to look kind of realistic. Or the other answer is they believe the Democrats are going to lose, so they're finally signaling to them, hey, you better do something about this. See what your polls look like, because that's the way they can kind of impact the election. But getting back to Dumb Lemon, Dumb Lemon, that's a good name for him. He's talking to Cuomo, who's probably the only guy dumber than him on CNN. And these two guys, in my view, they just have no shame. They just have no shame at all, especially Cuomo. He just doesn't care. He just has lots of money. He's just your typical spoiled rich dude who has way too much money. And I don't know how he got this job. I guess because he's Cuomo's brother, and he presents well. And they thought he looked like an anchor, I guess. But Ron Burgundy would be a better anchor than this guy. They're just both so awful as compared to, say, like, at least Wolf Blitzer. And I got problems with him. At least he presents like a legitimate guy. And for part of his career, at least, he was pretty legitimate back in the late 80s, early 90s when CNN started. I think he got on in the early 90s, if I'm remembering correctly, during the first Iraq War with George H.W. Bush. He was held up in the hotel while the Scuds were going off, if I'm remembering correctly. And so, he was on the ground. He was doing some real reporting. Has Cuomo ever gone out and done a piece? Ever? Even Anderson Cooper, Razorfist calls him Anderson Cooper. Glanderson Cooper, he calls him. Anderson Cooper, he really wanted to be a news guy. He really wanted to be a journalist, and he actually went out and did it. He had the money to do it because he's very rich, but his family's very rich. But he at least, I have a little bit of respect for him. At least he's trying to do something. I don't really think he succeeds now, but, back in the day he was idealistic and Has Cuomo ever done that? Has Cuomo done like a stand-up somewhere, or investigative reporting? Has he investigated anything? I don't think he has. And I don't think he'd want to now. He's too famous for being stupid and angry when he gets called out by someone. Because that one time, the guy called him, I guess he called him Fredo. And he lost his S and got into a shouting match. But anyhow, getting back to these riots, they are hurting the Democrats, and they're finally beginning to realize it. So what I'm predicting is going to happen in the next few weeks is they're going to try to pull away from the riots. They're going to tell all their news guys, no more riots. Don't cover them. Don't give these people any coverage. Now and if they continue to riot, nail them to the wall. Nail them to the wall. Try to blame it on Trump, but don't let these people get away. Don't let these people off anymore. And that's going to change things. That may make it acceptable for these Democratic governors to say, where's my troops? You said you were going to send me troops. Like, they'll ask for the troops without, sending it through official channels yet, and then run on TV and say, oh, I've asked for troops, and I haven't gotten anything yet. I'm waiting. My city's burning. That'll be the next move. And because it's just not working. It's been an absolute disaster for everybody connected to these riots, except for maybe Antifa. Antifa, the little minions are laughing in their communist coffee houses saying, oh, aren't we doing good work and blah, blah, blah. We're so close to toppling the U.S. government this time. No, you're not. And the BLM people, well, I'm not even sure if BLM really exists now, because it's been so heavily co-opted by the Democrats. I think they're just sucking up all the money. And at the same time, you've got these Marxist leaders who are really more Antifa than they are anything that BLM you might think they stand for. So, at the end of the day, I think they're all just going to collapse into Antifa. Because as a brand, BLM's done. It's done. No one's going to, except the zealots, except the woke idiots who have signed on for this religion. BLM's done. We need a new organization to represent, police reform and the black community. We totally need a total new organization that's far, far away from Black Lives Matter. The entire brand is tainted now. It's tainted beyond repair. So there are plenty of other organizations. So really, someone needs to contact these organizations and sort of pool them all together in a sensible, nonviolent organization that would make MLK proud instead of rolling over in his grave like he probably does with Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's just a disgrace, everything connected to these riots. Just an absolute disgrace. And their website, which has changed, by the way. I went back on it recently, and the About page had changed, and I couldn't find that line about the nuclear family. Maybe I'm on the wrong page, but I don't think so. I think they finally realized the bad PR they were getting from that. Although if you go to the Wall of Moms thing, I imagine that's still the same, because that felt very much like a last-minute psyop by Antifa itself, just like, oh, let's put together this group like it's been around forever. But it was very woke, their site. It was all about, deconstructing everything. So these riots are done. The Democrats are going to pull the plug, and Antifa probably won't go without a fight. But now, without the scrutiny of the media and without the pressure on law enforcement, these Democrats, whether they're in the governorship or in the cities, will feel free to go, oh, okay, yeah, arrest all these idiots. Put them all in jail, all of them. Now, the one exception is Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio is the king of woke. Oh, he's not giving it up. No way. He's going to continue to continue his, I don't know what you'd call it, his suicide pact with his career. And he's going to continue to drive New York into the toilet. He's not going to do anything unless you recall him, which you really should. Possibly the same thing. Ted Wheeler's tough to call because on the one hand, Ted Wheeler seems to have not drawn some lines. He didn't tolerate the Chaz that opened up right next to his condo, and he's made some noise about turning the boat around, but not really enough. At the end of the day, he said, "Oh no, we'll stand down," and that'll keep things tamped. So he could go either way. Jenny Durkin, I think, finally is on board. Maybe, kind of. But now her city council is basically mutinied, and she probably has no power to do much other than say, "Oh, can't we please call in the National Guard, please?" And plus, she's just done politically anyway. So she might as well call in the National Guard and save what's left of the city and people's lives and businesses, Jenny. As far as Minneapolis goes, that's Detroit number 2. There's nothing you can do for Minneapolis at this point. Even if they they did send in the guards, right? They sent them in. Too little, too late. It's the city council that's already abolished the cops, and Mayor Fry, he's the biggest political cut guy I've ever seen. That guy, holy crap, that he would show up to a street rally and allowed himself to be booed by these woke morons. You're dumb. You're very dumb, and you deserve that humiliation, and you deserve to never be the mayor of anything ever again. You'll be known as the mayor who destroyed Minneapolis, and you don't deserve any sort of career in politics. None. Nobody in any public situation should trust you with power ever again, because you just blew it. But unfortunately, there's not going to be a Republican mayor of Minneapolis anytime soon. They're trying out this new woke city council BS, which is probably just going to end maybe in a major FBI investigation of some kind. I don't know, because I think there's going to be a lot of criminality in the years to come with these Democratic mayors. I think when Trump fully turns on the feds against these Democrats, they will have cause to go after these people criminally, especially if they supported the riots in any way and Antifa in any way. You watch. They're going to be able to get these guys eventually, because they'll first get Antifa and all the major figures in that and all the worst guys from that. I believe they're building cases right now. And that's eventually going to tie into people who have money and gave them money, and these guys are not careful. They're not. They think they're on a woke mission from God or something. Some of them are going to be caught. There's the state senator from Wisconsin. She's like, "Oh, I'm going out to march in the protest. Yeah, the peaceful protest that's burning down half the city and killing people." That's one woke lady. Do that. Don't do it, is my advice, because you're in a lot of danger now. You're in a lot of danger. You'd be an idiot to go out in that mob and start protesting with those people. You'd be an effing idiot, and you'd probably get hurt. So don't do it. It is far too dangerous. If you don't believe me, well, I can't stop you, but I'm not going to shed a tear if you do get hurt. I'm just going to be like, "Told you. I told you." These people are going to prison. People are going to prison, and it's not going to be pretty.